traffic there on 696. So we want to give you an update on what the conditions are. You can see what's going on outside, but really what the path of the storm is. Our meteorologist Kim Adams has been in here all afternoon long and looking really at the path of the storm, and this is the first that we're seeing of it, Kim.
It is, and it's coming in just as we expected. It's coming in as mostly snow. There's a couple little areas where it's very wet snow, almost like rain, but pretty much changing over to all snow right down. Now it's coming down at about a half an inch to an inch an hour, so it is going to total up, especially northwest of Detroit. If you're on the east side, it's still totaling up for you, just not quite as much as if you're in Oakland or Livingston counties. Now, as we go through the evening hours, temperatures are going to rise. So that's a good thing. That means that the roads will, not freeze, but right now, they are certainly right at that freezing point. They're well traveled. There are salt trucks out, but it is something that is going to make for a slower evening commute all over Metro Detroit, especially on the west side, but east side getting their fair share as well. But you tell by those Skycam shots of Metro Airport that it is coming down heavily. So here's a look at the clouds and radar forecast. We've got also at 8 o'clock tonight, that will change over to a period of rain. So you can look at the temperatures and tell where it's all snow and where there's a little bit of a mix going on. Mount Clemens, City Airport, Grosse Ile, the extreme east side, all well above freezing. Wind speeds right now, only 15 to 20 miles per hour. Winds are going to be picking up overnight tonight. This is at this point my biggest concern, the winds and the winds for tomorrow, because even if it's a light to moderate snow, we will have blowing and drifting and reduced visibility. So right now, look at that snow with just a 20 mile per hour wind, 15 to 20 mile per hour wind. Now imagine those winds up to 50 miles per hour. So we are definitely going to have a difficult travel situation through the next 24 hours. We are right now under a winter weather advisory for all of Metro Detroit, and that means that travel will deteriorate rapidly throughout the evening hours and into the overnight and through the day tomorrow, even on Sunday. We've got dangerous wind chills and some wraparound lake effect snow for the second half of the weekend. So this isn't going to be over anytime soon, but it will change to rain, Christy, at about 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you've shown us the path of the storm and how this has changed a little bit. But again, you see people in Macomb County could be seeing, I'm not really seeing much right now, but this is what's happening here.
Right.
It's going to bear watching. In terms of temperature, you're talking about the roads, and they're not doing any pre-treating in Oakland County. We talked to them a little bit earlier on today, but they're really watching for the wind that you said, because when they put things down, it just gets blown right on off. It's not effective at all.
Right. And also they're probably waiting as well because we are going to get some heavy rain that's going to wash it away. So it's really doesn't make a lot of sense, especially since road temperatures right now are just above freezing. So we're not concerned about a hard freeze over the next several hours, and temperatures are only going to be rising. They're not going to fall for the next several hours. They won't fall until after midnight tonight. So we'll get up to about 40 degrees by 8, 9 o'clock tonight, and then cold air reps in overnight. That's when tomorrow all of this changes over to snow. So for salting, tomorrow is when they're going to need to be out there probably round the clock.
Also, you talked about the changing conditions of everything. Do we know in terms of snow totals of how many inches on the ground? Because sometimes it's always like, well, now how many inches am I going to get? But is it really that we're getting condition changes that will make things tricky?
Well, it's going to depend on whether you're talking about the snow total before the rain starts, or you're talking about the entire snow total for the entire storm. What you see on the ground in this storm is not necessarily what we are getting, because a lot of it is going to wash away. So if you're talking about total storm totals by tomorrow, looks like about 3 to 4 inches on the east side, as much as 5 to 6 inches on the west side. But that doesn't mean that when you walk out your door and you look out your patio and that you're going to see that much, because again, tonight the rain's going to wash a lot of it away. Tomorrow, it's not the depth of snow we're concerned about, it's the blowing and drifting of the snow. Okay. Today the snow is very wet and very heavy. Tomorrow it's going to be very light and fluffy, and so when you get these 50 mile per hour winds, we will likely have close to zero visibility throughout the day, off and on in these snow squalls.
So Kim, we heard from DTE earlier on today, because they said, look, we have crews that are at the red because of the cold and the potential then of the winds. And if you have the heaviness, you said this was going to be a wet snow, it's a possibility of that lines could go down, or you have tree branches that snap, tangle with the lines, and there you go, you have trouble. Is that a scenario that we could see too?
Absolutely. So we get the rain, and then cold air comes in quickly overnight. So anything that's wet is going to likely freeze. You add to it high winds, that's also going to have a freezing effect. We're going to have sustained winds tomorrow of 30 to 40 miles per hour. That's a tropical storm force wind. 30 to 40 sustained, gusts to 50.
Okay.
So this is a, we've said this all week long, this is a serious wind event and power outages. Now behind it, the problem with losing power, that Arctic air gets in as soon as tomorrow afternoon. Wind chills starting Sunday all the way through Wednesday, all day long and all night long will be below zero.
Yeah, again, DTE, just to give you a couple of common sense rules. Again, if there is a power line down, they say stay 25 feet away from it. Assume that it is live. Also, if you see branches down, assume that there could be a line down there as well. And also generators. You talk about power outages. Generators, and if you have a portable generator, that's great. Make sure it does not come inside of your house because of carbon monoxide. So again, just a couple of things that DTE is thinking about. And they also have 1,100 crew members on standby and waiting over the weekend. They said that they have the ability to bring people in from out of state as well, should they need that. Again, we're not saying that's going to happen, but again, the preparations for this, and this is really our first big storm of the season when we talk about the snow.
Absolutely. And it's not just the amount of snow we're getting is the most we've seen all season. It is also the wind and the bitter cold. We have not been this cold since 2022.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that.
The last time we hit zero was December 23rd of 2022. So this is the coldest air we've seen. 2023, we had a stretch of days that were in the single digits, but we didn't get down to zero. And we didn't have these kind of wind chills either for this sustained period of time. We're not just talking about a day or two, and it's right after losing power. So my concern would be, elderly people who live alone. You need to start thinking, even if they haven't lost power yet, start thinking about what will we do if we do lose power. I wrote an article for Click on Detroit. Why do people go buy bread and milk before a storm? It makes no sense.
Right. It's that feeling of preparation.
There's a science
prepared.
to it. Turns out there's a science to it. But the things we really need to stock up on are the non-perishable items like canned goods and things like that, nuts, bottled water. But psychologically, people don't want to do that because then in their mind they think, oh, that means I'm going to be trapped for a long time, and it just, we don't want to admit that. It's traumatic.
It's anxiety producing.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's why people do bread and milk, because they always use bread and milk. I can always use that.
Right.
And that's perishable. So it was interesting to learn the psychology behind it. But road conditions, not just tonight. So tonight's going to be some heavy rain after this transitions at 8 o'clock. And then tomorrow, I'm more concerned, honestly, about tomorrow. We'll get through this evening commute. It's going to be a little slippery here and there, and visibility will be reduced. But tomorrow, we're going to have these snow squalls coming through. Right. We have the bitter cold, and we have the wind. So tomorrow is really, if you don't lose power tonight, don't think, oh, good, we're good.
Clear. Yeah.
It's really throughout the whole weekend you could lose power.
And going into Sunday, we've talked an awful lot about the Lions, and I know a lot of people want to tailgate and go to the game on Sunday, but that is really when temperatures are also going to be pretty rough.
Temperatures and wind chills. Wind chills will be below zero, and people are smart. You have to be prepared for it. If you want to tailgate, I'm certainly not going to say don't tailgate. Right. There's no way I'm going to say that. But obviously you got to be smart about it. And maybe it's a shorter tailgate party. Maybe it's not all morning. Maybe it's not all day. Maybe it's a couple hours. I don't want to spoil anybody's.
I don't want to ruin anyone's fun here.
It's just know what you're getting into.
Be prepared for it.
Make sure you can be able to have a place you can go in and warm up. I don't know how likely that is being downtown, but you just have to prepare more than you would for a normal tailgate.
Sounds good. All right, so I know that you've got a couple of things to do to get ready for the newscast at 4 o'clock, but give us a sense of the next 3 hours or so. Give us the snapshot.
Okay, so next 3 hours, let's see, it's 3:11 now, so between now, really now and 8 o'clock, we'll have heavy snow. As much as ½ inch to an inch an hour. The extreme east side, it might be mixed with a little bit of rain from time to time. Overall, this is a very wet, heavy snow for all of Metro Detroit. You can see the city of Detroit well above freezing, but you get out to Howland, Pontiac, and it's below freezing. Clouds and radar, you can see that rain coming up from the south, but it's going to be a period from now until 8 o'clock of some very wet, heavy snow. Visibilities will be reduced. We'll be keeping an eye on road conditions. Temperatures should stay right at or slightly above freezing, but that doesn't mean there won't be some slippery spots. Visibility will be an issue. Heavy snow is an issue. And then after 8 o'clock, we briefly transition to rain. And then by midnight, 1 o'clock, we transition back to snow. So it's just a back and forth thing. But between now, certainly through the evening commute, it's a heavy snow.
Okay, and we're going to make sure that I know you are really great on social media and like throughout the evening, like on Instagram and so many different places of updating you. So again, even if you're not on clickondetroit.com, you can follow Kim, and she makes sure she goes on there and gives you the updated forecasts and like what's happening right now too. So where you know and where you are. So all right, I'm going to let you go.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I do have to get ready.
Like, yeah, just a storm, but you know,
It's what we do.
it's what we do here,
It's
and
what
really
we do.
appreciate it.